Today we're going to try wines from the famous winery in Canberra, Clonakilla. I'm Jason.
And I'm Trent, and we're from the Wind Up. We're on here to provide you an unfiltered, unapologetically unprofessional journey of wine. And we have a slogan here.
Our slogan is,
Drink more,
try more, learn more. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And before we get into the Canberra wines, let's go with thoughts of the week. Trent, what are you thinking about?
Yeah, so my thought of the week was around how, I guess, a mix of two of my passions. One is wine, one is sport. And how we've seen previously a lot of the movie stars get into the spirits business. You know, we've seen, what's his name, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock,
Yes.
right? Have his Terramana tequila. We've seen George Clooney with his Casamigos tequila. Seems like tequila seems to be a bit of a trend there.
Yep.
I haven't tried it.
Yeah. Okay.
We've seen, what's his name?
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds with the aviation gin. So we've seen a lot of the movie stars get into it. But what's more exciting now for me is like really getting see the sports stars get into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you know, Jason, one of my passions is basketball, and
Yes.
I know I'm messaging you a bit in terms of, hey, we should try this one. And a few basketball players has kind of gotten into the scene in terms of having their own wines and getting involved into it. You know, ones that come to mind is your favorite player, Steph Curry,
Mr.
with
Curry.
Domaine Curry.
Yes.
James Harden, Jay Harden wines, Yao Ming, you know,
Oh, I didn't
Yao
know
Ming
Yao Ming
wines.
has one.
Yeah,
Wines from China?
I don't know.
Wow,
I think it's
okay.
probably American. Carmelo Anthony, Seventh Estate,
Yep.
and there's one more as well. Dwayne Wade, D Wade Cellars.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So what it kind of says to me is that it's great how like it's a mix of, again, the passions with wine and basketball now. But for me, the other thing I take from it is that it's getting a bit more approachable in terms of the wines. You know, it's not so much the people in the tweed coats drinking the wines. Now it's like becoming a bit more mainstream, a bit more approachable. You know, if you see like your favorite basketball player drinking it, Steph Curry,
Yes.
then it's like he's doing it. It's cool. We can do it.
Yes.
And drink a bit more. And hopefully after drinking a bit more, you can be sinking threes like Steph Curry as well.
Maybe that's the trick. He's got his special wine that's
Yeah.
making it happen.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good point that it's kind of changed the landscape in terms of who the influencers are and what they're drinking.
Yeah.
I think when we were growing up, I felt like the celebrities were more like rap stars or something like
Yeah.
that, having some Hennessy and cognac
Yeah.
and so forth. But
Now
a
it's
lot
wine.
of people venturing into wine.
Yeah. I know there are other sports stars like the golf stars, but I've always felt like the golf is like a bit of a snobby kind of
Yes.
community. Not saying everyone is, but you know, Greg Norman does his one as well. But I thought,
Yeah. It's
now
a different market.
different market it is. Yeah. So it's great to see that.
I think we need to try some of those
Yeah.
wines, to be
The
honest.
problem is that because it's still very much American based, it's still hard to get. So maybe we need a trip to America, Jason, one day and start to try a few wines there.
Let's lock that in. I think we've got a lot of trips to make since starting this podcast.
Yeah, sounds good. Your thoughts of the week, Jace?
My thoughts of the week were related to Canberra wines. And the reason that we have a few bottles here was because our family recently went to the Snow. And for those that know Sydney and Australia, a good detour on your way to Perisher is via Canberra. And so we thought we'd drive down. I think it was about a 2.5 hour trip and try a few wineries. And the one we had here, Clonakilla, is kind of one of the ones that are on top of the list for me to try and quite popular. But I wanted to find out a bit more about Canberra wines. And for me, to be honest, growing up in Sydney, the only wine area I was aware of was Hunter Valley.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else out there. And I remember driving to Canberra a couple of times, and I never thought Canberra had a wine kind of culture and a lot of wineries within the area. I thought if anyone's trying it, it must be really bad.
Well, what was your perception of Canberra then? Just
My-
Parliament, right?
Yeah, it was three things. It was go to Parliament House as part of our Year 6 school excursion. It was Questacon,
Questacon,
which is that science exhibition. And then more recently, I think I get my coffee beans from Canberra as well.
Jeez.
So those were the things. I never associated it with wine. So it's quite interesting to see and find out a bit more about Canberra wines, and actually, it's quite a developed wine region. There's about 140 vineyards in Canberra. Honestly, I thought there were two.
I didn't know that as well.
140 vineyards, 40 wineries. The first plants were actually planted there in 1840.
Wow.
Right, quite some time.
Do you know
ago.
which vineyard that is, or?
No, I didn't find the vineyard, but what happened was that wine area, and I'm as we learn more about wine regions, I'm finding that a lot of wine areas were established quite early on, and then they went through a phase of decline. So that's what happened with Canberra.
Yeah.
And so Canberra went into decline until about the 70s.
Yeah.
For those that know Australia and Canberra, I should say Canberra is the biggest city within our capital state, so Australian Capital Territory, and it's where the Prime Minister and the rest of government, the federal government, are.
Yeah.
And because there's a lot of federal agencies and departments there, it's also where a lot of scientists are based.
Yeah. So a lot of our politicians are actually drinking a lot of these wines, probably. Is that why?
And they're very lucky. I think that's probably why they chose it. But what happened in the 70s is the scientists from CSIRO actually thought, hold on, we think there's a great area here for growing wines. Let's start doing that. And so in 1971, one of those scientists who formed Clonakilla is John Kirk. And he was the one who was him and a few others were kind of researching what's the best area to grow the wines here. So it's actually got a fair bit of history, which I didn't know about. And when looking into Canberra wines, there's a lot of discussion about what makes it special.
Yeah.
And they describe that term terroir.
Yeah. Terroir?
I call it terroir. It's a terroir, which is kind of meant to describe the uniqueness of the area, the environment, etc., like that. And so what I found is unique to Canberra is they've got a very long and mild autumn.
Yeah.
And so because it's cool and there's more time for the grapes to ripen.
We touched on it. No, we touched on it before, but is it cool climate?
They say it's cool climate. Yeah, that's right. And so maybe that's got to do with it. Maybe the elevation. I think it's about 300 to 800.
And it's inland as well, right?
And it's inland as well.
Yeah.
The other thing that was interesting is it gets quite a good sea breeze apparently, which I wouldn't have thought given that it's inland, but it does, which also helps keep it cool during the nights.
It gets a lot of hot air from the politicians as well, I think.
Maybe that's helping with the ripeness. But I didn't know this. It's also apparently the Australian city that's second to Perth with the most sunshine. Right? That's surprising.
Yeah. I would have think up north would have been like the Darwin or the Cairns or something.
Completely agree. And maybe it's like the wet season and so forth. The rains go that way. But that was a bit of a shock.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
Yeah, we've got to look into that.
Yeah.
If we put that together, I guess what they're saying is it's a great climate for growing grapes. It's warm, dry during the day, and then it's cooled out at night.
I'll let you know what I've been drinking.
Yes.
Okay, so a very rare occasion, I was able to go on a hot date a couple of weeks ago.
With your wife?
Yes, with my wife. Yeah, so I had a function in the city, and she works in the city as well. So we went out to a nice little Italian restaurant, and the wine I had there was a 2022 La Petite Vanguard Grenache from McLaren Vale. So I picked a Grenache because it's quite versatile in terms of what it could pair with. We had some lamb shoulder, we had some salads, etc., like that, and it went beautifully. It was bright, vibrant, juicy, red fruits. Good acid cut through the fat, that lamb shoulder that we had. Really, really good. Grenache is kind of like my new thing now.
It is a thing.
It is a thing.
I had some recently as well. Corkscrews out of 10. Did you
7 out of 10. 7 out of 10.
Good recommendation.
Okay.
All right. So that's our wine of the week. Thanks for that. And now we'll jump straight into the content for today, which is Canberra's famous winery, Clonakilla. And so as I was saying earlier, Clonakilla was founded by John Kirk in 1971. He was a CSIRO scientist. And through his scientific connections, he was able to also grab some Viognier vines, which was never heard of in Australia at the time, and plant those. And then in 1985, his son Tim went over to Rhone and was able to sample the Shiraz Viognier blend
Yeah.
for the first time. And he was inspired. He fell in love, tried to replicate it over here. And so in 1999, he created that blend and won the New South Wales Wine Award for it.
Wow.
And that's created the legacy, because when I hear about Clonakilla, it's about the Shiraz Viognier blend. And that's really the one that stands out. Everything else is still good, but a lot of people.
But did you bring it today though?
And we don't have it today because at the time when we went to Canberra, they don't have any. But today we have some very decent substitutes and a good selection from Clonakilla, which is a Riesling, a Viognier, and a Shiraz. And maybe at the end we just blend the two ourselves manually.
Oh yes.
And try to create it.
It's like drops of God style kind of. With
That's right, with the test tubes and so forth. So we're very fortunate to try it today, and so that's what we'll get into. We have the Shiraz, the Riesling right here, and it's a 2021 Canberra District Riesling from Clonakilla.
Cool.
And as we do at the wind up, we taste with our eyes, our nose, and our mouth. And so let's start with the Riesling here.
It's very light in color, isn't it? This one. It's very pale color. Probably due to the kind of cool climate. Not much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very light color, very very light straw color in there, almost a tinge of water. I compare it to the a bit more aged Rieslings that we've had recently, which are quite honey-like. And then on the nose,
more kind of less citrus, but more kind of, I don't know, melony type of thing, but kind of unripe melon.
it smells sweet to me.
Yeah, it does smell sweet, but it's very different. It's very different to the kind of Clare Valley, Eden Valley type of Rieslings that we've been having a bit of.
Yeah, fruity, sweet, a bit bubblegum.
It feels actually bigger. Smells bigger than the Clare Valley. Clare Valley seems a bit more maybe elegant in that it's cool climate. It feels.
You do get a strong scent for it.
Yeah.
All right,
let's drink
Give it a taste. As Trent gives it a whirl. I still love smelling all of the wines, but what do you think? What are you tasting there? Let me try some as well.
I get that it has a bit of that sweetness in it as well. So it's not bone dry or desert dry, as we said in one of the other episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
has a good balance of acid
acidity
coming through. Perfect for seafood, I reckon. So.
Yeah, you're right. When you mention that, I'm imagining a plate of prawns. It's ready to crack into. It's got a great finish on it,
and it's got enough body to it. Kind of go with a kind of white fish as well.
So the first thing that I was getting is the sweetness and that fruit, that melon flavor, but probably 5 seconds into it, the acidity kind of comes through, and all of
kind
that.
of the side of the tongue.
Yes,
kind of go through.
But that finish it's still there. It's quite long. And you talked about the body. Is it?
Yeah, I feel like it's a bit. It's definitely less piercing as one of those kind of Water Vale or Eden Valley type of Rieslings. So that's why I say it has that kind of bit more roundness to it to kind of go against like a kind of a white fish that has like a cream sauce on it as well.
Oh, yum! Yeah, that would be delicious. I really like this, and it's quite a popular variety from Clonakilla.
That's really nice. How much is that one?
I think it was about the 30. We need to see if I think about what they were saying in terms of the tasting notes. It's got an aroma of lemon blossom. I don't know what that is, but I'm imagining some lemon and herbs. Tastes of juicy fresh lime, mandarin, lemongrass, and lemon curd texture, which kind of goes a bit to that body that you were talking about.
No, that's really good. Are we doing corkscrews as we go along? Okay.
Let's do corkscrews.
It's It's hard because it's a very different beast to
Yeah.
other Rieslings.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
So it's hard to say, oh, this is better than that. But this is, again, it's like 7 or 8. Like,
Yeah, yeah. It's really making me think about the wine, and those
Yeah.
are the ones that you enjoy and I enjoy as well. And I think it's absolutely different to the other ones. But for me, I'd give it an 8. I'd give it an 8 because everything that I'm smelling and tasting, I'm enjoying. It's got a lot of length, and then you can just taste the different
Yeah.
flavors and notes in there. And I can't wait to pair it with some seafood.
Yeah.
So 7 or 8. Which one were you on?
oh, well, I can't do the same as you. I'll go 7 then, just to give it a bit more room to kind of grow.
Good stuff.
But yeah, it's really, really good. Again, made me think in terms of the different type of Rieslings, how, as we try different regions, different areas around the world or Australia as well, have the different expressions of the Rieslings, which is really great.
Absolutely. All right.
Good pick.
So that's the Clonakilla Riesling, and we'll move that here. As we move on to the Viognier, and so I'll hold this.
Did you find it hard to pronounce? The
You know what?
grape?
I don't know if I'm pronouncing correctly. Murrumbateman.
Murrumbateman.
Sounds about right.
Sounds right.
But this is a 2022 Murrumbateman Viognier. Am I pronouncing Viognier right? I think so.
Viognier?
Viognier.
Viognier.
And so, like I said earlier, Clonakilla is very famous for the Shiraz Viognier. I think they put about 6% Viognier into the Shiraz blend. So this will give us a taste of it. And Viognier is not a wine that I've had very often.
I haven't either, so really keen to kind of try this one. So should we go on the nose again?
We shall. Oh, well, we'll start with the eyes, actually.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
So,
Yeah, still kind of a lighter and a green, kind of pale green color. A bit more deeper in color compared to the Riesling,
yes.
but still quite light when you think about it.
Is it just me, or is there a few bubbles that are in yours, or maybe that's just the glass?
I don't know. Did you do something to it? No, there is a few bubbles in it.
It is slightly darker than the other one, but the Riesling's still, both of them quite light.
Oh, it's very interesting on the nose.
What are you smelling?
Smells sweet again, but it's
I really get the like a bubble gum, like I'm chewing
Yeah.
on some. You mentioned confectionery the
yeah.
other day.
This is definitely confectionery as well.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking which lolly it is or which dessert it is. It smells like kind of like a dessert wine, like a sweet.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. It's like a. It has a kind of is it? It's not lemon, but it's more lemon curd again. But it's not quite that.
So Trent's given it a taste. Yeah, I don't get much citrus on it. It is all quite sweet.
Not quite.
melon.
Yeah.
but
Definitely doesn't have the citrus as the Riesling. For the citrus in the Riesling, kind of the acid on the Riesling is on the side. This is like on the center, in the middle of the palate.
this is an interesting wine. I've never had it.
Has a certain creaminess to it as well.
And on the nose, it felt sweet. It doesn't. The sweetness doesn't come through on
No.
the palate. It actually a bit dry on there.
Actually smells better on the nose than it does on the palate at the moment. But it's like it's a lemon curd, kind of like cream custard. It has a kind of creaminess to it as well. The body, but it has a kind of it's still more on the kind of citrus side than the kind of like a raspberry or strawberry type of side. So it's like that
Yeah.
kind of
The acidity comes through. I feel like there's bits of like lemon rind that I can taste in it, but in some ways,
orange peel. More.
orange peel. Yeah, okay, no, that's true. In some ways, it's got a heavier body, almost
Like an orange tea cake.
orange tea cake. All right, I'm imagining the rinds on.
Yeah, it has that kind of orange, like a little tea cake, but it has that kind of moistness to it as well. It has that kind of body and roundness. That's what it reminds me. Like an orange and poppy seed.
I can imagine that. That would be a good pairing with it.
This is a
think
good
it's a bit
thinking
lighter.
wine, having never had a Viognier much before, or maybe never before, but having like this is, really interesting, but it's definitely good.
If I read the tasting notes, so light straw hue, fragrant spicy bouquet tinged with honeysuckle and orange pith,
Yeah.
which goes to that orange cake that you were talking about. Good intensity and delicacy. Fatness is kept in check while being viscous and rich.
Oh,
Okay,
I told you it has that kind of richness
I
to
could
it.
get all of that. I could get all of that.
Yeah. So what do you think out of 10?
You know, it's new. I actually get a bit of a peppery hit to it right on the finish now. It's new. I'd give it a 7 out of 10 corkscrews. I enjoy it. It's something different. Probably need the right pairing with it. I don't know if I'd rush out to have the wine on its own,
Yeah.
per se, but it's different. It's kind of sweet on the nose, dry on the
Yeah.
mouth.
Yeah.
What about you?
I agree. 7 out of 10. It's nice, interesting. Probably it's not my thing type of thing, but maybe you should pour 6% of this into that, and then I'll.
I do want to try. I do want to try that. I don't think it works that way, but I agree. That would be interesting.
You can drink a gulp of the Shiraz with the mix in your mouth.
Mix it up.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, next one,
On
Shiraz.
to the next one.
Shiraz. Yep.
And so let's move to the reds and Canberra. I should say Canberra is actually, it's got a variety of grapes in the region, but it's most famous for its Shiraz and its Riesling.
Yeah, Shiraz.
And so we have a 2022 O'riada Shiraz from Clonakilla, and O'riada is, my understanding, it's the uncle's Irish farm name.
Yeah.
Which is where this comes from.
Well, Clonakilla looks kind of Irish in its kind of writing as well, right?
Yeah, you're right. That kind of Celtic. I'm kind of
Celtic.
But I'm thinking about
Celtic?
Boston Celtic.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It's got that origins from there, which makes sense.
Yeah, it has a kind of the Celtic or Celtic kind of sign as well.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Irish heritage.
So I think this was about $40, and in the description we'll put all of the different prices.
Yeah.
But let's give this a try as we have a look with our eyes.
Right. Again, cool climate, lighter, very light. You can actually see through it.
It's almost like, for a Shiraz, it kind of gives me vibes of Pinot in that lightness.
Yeah, it's a lighter, paler type of red.
And then if we
On the
try
nose.
in the nose, it looks crisp is the word when I'm looking at it. It looks crisp, which is interesting for a red. On the nose, what are you smelling?
It's funny though, because it is a Shiraz. It's not the big stewed black fruits of the Barossa used to. It feels like it's kind of a hit of the kind of like cooked strawberries type of thing.
Yeah. You can tell it's not the ripe fruits that are coming out, which is what you
The
think
big
from
plums,
Yes.
from the McLaren Vale. Or
So for a cool climate
yeah,
area, it seems about right. So what are we smelling here? I get a lot of earthiness, to be honest.
yeah, cooked strawberries with a bit of kind of earth just kind of thrown into it. Kind of a
Cooked strawberries with earth.
Yeah.
There you go.
yeah.
You're right. That strawberry flavor comes through. And then if we give it a taste, knowing that Canberra is popular for their Shiraz.
I didn't know they're popular for the Shiraz.
Yeah. Well, that's what was a surprise to me as well.
Yeah.
I would have thought it would be some white wines, but
Very light, smooth tannins. Has about kind of a little bit of oak on it as well, but it's not. It's just in the background. It's kind of like a Pinot, like
I was gonna say it feels like a Pinot.
it's very aromatic. It's very
Wow, that's such a different Shiraz to all of the SA kind of Shiraz that we've been having.
yeah. This is so. How much was this one again?
About 40.
40. That's good for 40, I think.
Yeah, it's
And the length of it just keeps going. has that kind of woodiness as well. That kind of
Earthy, woody, peppery. I think the word that comes to my mind is it's delicate, which is not how I would describe a Shiraz typically, based on all the others that we've been having.
That's beautiful. And this is good to kind of, you can always age, obviously, this Shiraz, but this is good to drink now because it doesn't have those kind of big, harsh tannins that need to kind of like settle down. So this is perfect. You can have this. You can have this with any kind of red meats, right? Barbecues, anything, or even something a bit more delicate as well. Like,
venison, I feel
like a heavier type of like a fish dish as well, a paella or something like that. You know,
this is really nice. I'm really enjoying it. So to me,
is it low alcohol as well?
The percentage alcohol, yes, it's 13%.
Yeah.
Other things that stand out is the body. It's not a full body Shiraz. It's quite light. I'd say it's medium body.
Yeah.
But the tannins are quite fine on this.
Yeah. Fine tannins.
I'm imagining that Dyson cleaner, that grippy kind of flavor.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's not. But you can still feel it. It's present, but
it's like
very subtle.
It's like
wow.
It's like a velvet.
Yeah.
Velour kind of across your tongue.
Oh, that's delicious. Oh, I'm ready to rate. So, based on my excitement, you can tell I'm giving that a 8 out of 10 corkscrews.
Yeah.
It's got great length. It's delicate. It's got the variations to the typical Shiraz that we have that makes you think about it. What about you?
Oh, yeah, 8 pushing 9. Like this is really, really good. Like I'm very surprised. And for $40, you know, expecting probably like $60, $70. Like this is really, really good. Like I could drink this quite easily. Low alcohol, very elegant, my style type of wine.
Yeah.
I think will pair with a lot of foods as well, and quite easy to kind of drink by itself. Yeah, 8 out of 10, but pushing 9.
Pushing 9.
Yeah.
So let me read the notes here. So it's medium body, which we got. It's red berry and floral themes. Cool climate spice. I got a bit of spice. They said the word pastrami in there. Got to try that again. And delicate tannins, which is exactly what we just had. Wow. Yeah, good discovery. Canberra wines. There you go.
Did you buy a case?
I didn't, but now I'm thinking of buying some more. I remember actually what we had there was the museum release of the Shiraz Viognier 2013.
Yeah,
and that was delicious. But I think I will be buying a case.
Sounds good.
And so that's the selection of wines from Clonakilla, one of Canberra's most famous wineries. There are others out there, absolutely. As we wind up, did you have any last statements?
Yeah, I think I've been through Canberra quite a few times, but haven't really ever stopped at the wineries. So for me, there's been a kind of eye-opening kind of experience, kind of really be amazed by Clonakilla in this case. But obviously, you said that there's hundreds and thousands of kind of other wineries to try as well. So blown away with this Shiraz. Keen to try that Shiraz Viognier that kind of mentioned. Yeah, really, really good. Thank you. Thank you.
No. It's been good tasting it with you. I think we'll try and do a manual blend outside of this episode, and we'll let you know how that experiment goes. But for me, Canberra has been eye-opening. Hunter Valley's great. You don't just need to go there. There's other places to go. Don't just check out Parliament House and Questacon. Check out the wineries there. Yeah. If you're an adult, by the way. Yeah. But thank you, Canberra and the CSIRO scientists that made this happen.
Captain Kirk, right?
Captain Kirk from Star Trek, as well as the Kirk family. Who aren't part of Star Trek. I think Tim's running the helm right now, but also John Kirk. All right, so that's the Wind Up podcast for today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as we say here, drink more, try more, learn more.
Thank you.
Thanks all.